I just finished reading the most recent chapter of JJK, and I ain't gonna lie, Yuji was in his bag. But it honestly reminded me of a character that was, used to be synonymous with Yuji, who is Todo. It honestly kind of got me to thinking, was Todo's character misused in the series? At least for me early on with JJK season 1, when I watched it, it always seemed like Todo was a character that would grow with Yuji, right? We saw Todo was like Yuji's big brother, like the best friend thing. That was a funny meme that ran like Twitter for a couple months at that time, right? And he had a cool curse technique. He seemed like he was gonna be that guy. You think he was I'm almost certain he was like a first grade sorcerer or something along those lines, but he was that guy, at least, when we're looking at that scope. But then he kind of started falling off. And by the time we got to Shibuya and he lost his arm, it was like, damn, he kind of clipped. Like, you just surpassed him, and it's like, okay, now we don't know what's next. And, kind of come to find out what's next is, I ain't gonna lie, bro got thrown to the wayside. It's kind of weird because Todo always seemed, like I said, like a character that we would see a lot more. I think that he could have been used a lot more effectively. It even seemed like Gege wanted to use it more effectively. We saw in Shibuya where Gojo was kind of thinking about all the characters that'll surpass him eventually, and Todo was included in that group. And now obviously, I ain't gonna lie, Gojo was chatting some of those times. Like sometimes Gojo was like, this thing gonna surpass me, this thing gonna surpass me, and they are not gonna surpass him. He named Yuji, Hikari, Yuta, Megumi. We've seen from all those characters at least the avenue that they can surpass Gojo, right? We see how Yuta's power is, how he has more cursed energy than Gojo. We see Akari has better RCT than Gojo, for instance. Shout out Yuji. I'm not gonna spoil the chapter, but Yuji definitely can surpass Gojo. I'm gonna be honest with you. We know he can. Megumi, at least, we saw what Sukuna doing it with his power and his kit. We see the avenue that it can happen. But it's like, Gojo, what about Todo? Like, Todo don't look like he could have ever surpassed you, but you were saying that, like, I feel like we should have explored that a lot more. And I know people are going to say, oh, Todo's curse technique got destroyed by Mahito, basically, because, he would have died. But, I mean, to me, I don't think he needs to lose his curse technique. Like, not that it didn't make sense. Like, I understand that Mahito's a crazy villain and things like that, but just me looking at Todo, I just feel like he kind of got hold. Like, I feel like we could have explored that a lot more. Like, I don't think he should have lost his curse technique in Shibuya. It just kind of feels very jarring with, like, he lost his arm and he's basically out of the story. Like, since Shibuya, we have not seen him, which is weird because we've seen people, basically everyone else in the series but him for the most part. Even when we see people like Kamo saying like, I'm not gonna be here type shit, right? But it's just kind of weird overall. I mean, even just looking at Todo as a character, like, the interest levels and things like that, Todo's always been a good character. He's one of those characters that Gege has kind of forgotten about. Like, he's a great character that he's a very underrated character because we all know about Yuji's fall into despair moment from Mahito. That nigga Mahito was running a promo on Yuji, I can't lie. He killed Nanami. He basically killed Nobara. She ain't been here since then, so she killed her too. And it was Todo who was like, yo, we're the exception, like, start teeing up. And that shit brought Yuji out the darkness. Like, we have to give the nigga that credit, right? He's basically a catalyst for Yuji's current character, which it is kind of wild that Todo's not even like a character that we see in the background anymore. He's just gone. He's disappearing. And I think it's just kind of weird. We had a whole scene where all of Gojo's students watched him off. Like, oh yeah, go fight Sukuna, you can do it. Everyone was there. I think, I might be wrong, but I think even like Inumaki was there, I think. Where was my boy Todo? Where was that nigga at? Like, you should have been there, you know what I'm saying? I just think that Gege could have, used him and things like that. And it's kind of wild because Todo lost his role. Todo used to be the best little friend, though. Like, he had that, and he had, I'm big brother to Yuji. They even took that role from him. I ain't gonna lie, Chozo stole that shit right from his chest. He was like, yo, you're not, Yuji's big brother, that's my shit. I'm his blood brother, which is, I don't know if that's true, but you know what I'm saying, we don't let him cook. So unless now, obviously, I had to speak of maybe Todo's being saved for something we can see, the series isn't over, maybe he comes and pulls up on some cool shit, but it doesn't really feel like that. It kind of feels like he's just gone to the wayside. I thought that's kind of wild overall. But I just think, just overall with Todo, what he could have done, there's so many things that we could have seen from him. We know that he had the whole inspiration from Yuki, and shout out Yuki because Yuki's character was really, really done well. We saw a lot from her. She had a crazy fight. I think she could have done more as well, but we still got to see a lot from her. She basically helped shape Geto and things along those lines. I think a Yuki Todo reunion should have happened. We never really actually saw them meet, I think. Like, it was kind of implied because they had the same question, like, what kind of girl do you like and shit like that. But I think them meeting again as an adult, that would be cool to see. We never got to see that. Todo's domain expansion. I know not everyone gets a domain expansion. They're supposed to be hyped and stuff, but if Gojo was saying, you're going to surpass me, I need to see your domain expansion. I think his domain expansion would have been pretty hard, you know what I'm saying? And just overall growing with Yuji, I think that we could have seen, as Yuji is fighting these characters and things like that and discovering himself, Todo could have been a cool guide to doing that. And I don't think his role of, he didn't have to be a big brother or teacher forever. He could have eventually just kind of been on the same level as Yuji or even fall behind Yuji. But as long as he's still there with Yuji, it could have been a cool thing. I think this might be, I don't know if this is a problem for JJK, but this is definitely something I've observed. Like, especially if you remember the early season 1 of JJK, a lot of the characters that we enjoyed or that were in the series are, for the most part, have largely been thrown to the wayside for the most part, right? Megumi's been sealed for like 60 chapters at this point in time. Nobara's been quote unquote dead since Shibuya. I said that already. Kamo has been useless. He ain't done shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I don't even expect Miwa to do anything, so I can't even be mad at her. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of characters that they've just been kind of used up. One thing that I do expect for you to do is to like and subscribe for more anime content. So, you know what I'm saying? Hit that bell notification and do all that good stuff. I guess to a point, I understand that Todo is a sillier character. People say, oh, season 1 was very silly and goofy. Even Gojo was silly. Like, it was a very sillier series than it is now. And I get that. But one, I don't know why we're acting like Todo can't tee up when he needs to tee up. We see Yuji, Yuji was a very, very silly character when the show first started. But he starts to tee up. When shit hit the fan, Yuji's serious. He knows what he needs to do. So I don't really agree with that if anyone wants to say something like that. Even in Shibuya, Todo kind of is, obviously he's still laughing and things like that, but Todo's still a serious character. We could have seen Todo in a lot more serious situations. I think he would have fit just fine. You know what I'm saying? Yuji is not really too silly now, but back in episode 4, he was, for instance. And it's weird because I think people are going to say that he's outlived his usefulness. He's a teacher. And it's weird because he's not Nanami. Like, Nanami is an older generation character like, Gojo or Shoko. Those are the people that in the beginning of season 2, when they were teenagers, they're not in high school anymore. They're like 27, 28. Todo is a year older than Yuji. Todo's literally a year younger than Yuta and Hikari. So he's in that age bracket. He is one of those guys. He is quote unquote part of the new generation. So I just find it kind of weird where it's like, okay, well, Todo is the teacher or, the big brother / teacher of Yuji. But Todo's growth, he could still grow a lot more too. And I'm not even saying that he needs to be as powerful as Yuji is this chapter or as powerful as Maki was or is, things like that. I'm just saying that I think Todo could be very useful in the series, even if he's not fighting. So I think that's kind of interesting and kind of weird that he's just not doing anything. And even characters that aren't fighting or doing much are getting shown love. We got a chapter speaking about Nanami where Shoko and Gojo were talking. Like, we get Gojo, Shoko, Nanami, those characters, we get love from them or like cameos from them pretty often, or at least decently often. We got a Toji cameo not that long ago. So the fact that Todo is nowhere to be found, it's like, bro, where's Todo at? It's almost like Gege kind of forgot about bro, which I think is kind of wild, at least in my opinion. But it's weird. Like, I think as a whole, his character's kind of being wasted, and there's a lot more of his potential that we could have used, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Maybe it's because I like Boogie Woogie. I think Boogie Woogie could have done more. His curse technique was really cool. I like how it was. It was a really basic technique, obviously, but there's still a lot more things we could have seen from it. Him as a fighter, it would make the fights more interesting. And also, even when he's weaker than villains, like when he can't beat a villain, like how he couldn't beat Mojito by himself, just having his curse technique around, it's a good support system for anyone fighting kind of thing. So, but even excluding him fighting and stuff like that, Todo should have had a bigger role in the series. I believe, at least, he could have done a lot more things in the series. He hasn't really done much since Shibuya. I think just overall, like I like the overall, like the big brother thing, best friend though. That's cool. I like that. Todo's character or Todo being misused, Todo's character as a whole could have done a lot more. We could have seen more avenues and things like that. And I'm not even saying the series is over, but as of right now, we've gone 2 through 4 arcs without anything Todo related at all. So that's what makes it tough. But let me know if you guys think Todo was misused as a character or not. Let me know if you guys think that he wasn't misused. You know what I'm saying? Some people might think that Todo played the role he needed to, and that's it. We don't need more of him. I personally disagree, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, but I'm out, so peace.